Hi everyone, Dietitian Teresa here, and I'm back with another video. We're gonna do a quick Aldi grocery haul when you're balling on a budget and you want to also prioritize whole foods as best you can, quality nutrients, and focus on a high protein, high fiber approach. The reason why I love the high protein, high fiber approach in nutrition is essentially what this does for many of my clients and a lot of viewers out there. You're probably wanting to either lose weight or you're gonna wanna lose fat. So I specifically talk about fat loss on my channel and a lot about fat loss, and I'm really diving into like, okay, how can I talk more to the general population, that women in fitness, right? Like you wanna fuel your body no matter what phase of fitness you're in. You could be in maintenance, just fueling for performance. You could be fueling for fat loss. You could be fueling for building muscle. And all those have a slightly different approach in the amounts of food you're eating and macro distribution that you're focused on. In this haul, I'm just gonna give you some options for how you can find those wholesome nutrient foods, like earthly foods, on a budget, and also thinking about how we build our meals around that. So let's go through a quick Aldi haul, and I hope you enjoy. All right, so let's start off with our first bag of goodies. First off, I have some white basmati rice, and I love basmati rice because I'm gonna turn off my notifications here. I love basmati rice because it is actually slightly lower on the glycemic index scale for the different types of rice out there. You have long grain, you have jasmine, you have basmati. There's different kinds and types as far as the grain. The basmati rice, again, falls lower on the glycemic index scale. So when I'm building my meals and when I'm talking to clients, I'm like, let's try to focus on a meal that helps stabilize your blood sugars. The other carb source that I did buy were these red potatoes. Potatoes often get a bad rap from people, whether it be in a weight loss journey or like noticing weight gain. They're like, a lot of people, and I'm not saying that everyone thinks this way, but we tend to zoom in on certain foods, certain ingredients that make or break it all. A lot of times in a weight loss journey, I do recommend potatoes to clients, just regular potatoes, because potatoes have wonderful vitamins and minerals. They're actually very rich in potassium, but also you can actually get quite a bit of volume for a little bit of carbohydrate. So like a cup of potatoes, you could have a cup of diced potatoes on your plate, and that's quite a lot of volume, but you're still at 25, 30 grams of carbs there. You want to keep the skin on, so you want to wash the potatoes really well, vinegar rinse, to really help kind of like wash those off. And then the fiber is actually in the skin. So eating the skin is very important. Now, the reason why they get a bad rap most of the time is what I found is because guess what? Potatoes are really good and we can eat a lot of them. So thinking of that in context, if you're on a weight loss or a fat loss journey, you can still have potatoes, but you just have to think about the serving sizes. Maybe half your plate is not filled with potatoes right now. If you're building muscle, it could look like a little bit more there. But if you're like in fat loss, you want to focus on maybe a quarter of that plate dedicated to that carb source. Potatoes are fine, sweet potatoes are fine. And I already have sweet potatoes in the freezer that I bought in bulk last week, so I can use those this week in some recipes. All right, this would be a realistic Aldi haul if I did buy my chocolate chips. Love these. I throw them in my peanut butter bites. I just literally will grab a handful if I need some chocolate. I am a dark chocolate girl. Love it so much. And the dark chocolate morsels, I wouldn't be real with you if I didn't show you those. Then I got some honey. So we ran out of honey. I do like to buy like the Costco big ones. First off, it's a better deal. And two, it's actually like a raw honey, but this one will do for now. Didn't want to stop at so many places today. So we're just sticking with this. Honey is actually a really great, easy carb source. Drizzle it on your yogurt bowls. Use it for running. So like if you need some carbs while running, that's a really quick and easy, very digestible carbohydrate that you can consume there. Next I got some cottage cheese. So cottage cheese, this is just a full fat cottage cheese. Again, like nice protein source, add it to meals or just have it as a snack. And then pinto beans, I think I'm just gonna throw these in for extra fiber somewhere in my meals, trying to get in more fiber. I got some raisins. Those are for like running. Those are for just fuel. They're not like a staple, but like the raisins, they can be another very easy option. Dried fruit and that kind of stuff. Got some ground cinnamon and paprika. I've been out of cinnamon for so long. So cinnamon I love putting on my oats, in my coffee. You guys, if you like do some, so I just do half and half. I do a couple tablespoons of half and half, dash of cinnamon, and I'll froth that up. Oh my goodness, it's so good. And if I want something sweeter, I'm not a super sweet coffee person, I'll put a dash of honey in there too. And then I'll use my hand whisk that I have, like the electric one, and then I'll just like froth it up. So then I got some 2% milk. These are just like the base for typical stuff. We usually don't drink milk out of the glass. Like we use it in smoothies, we use it in recipes. It's just like nice to have. I will add it to my coffees and that kind of thing. And then I'm gonna go through this second bag down here and just pull from down below. What I have here is bananas. These are really nice staple carb source. Again, vitamins and minerals, potassium, really quick carb. Avocados, of course, to add to a bunch of meals as like a fat source. Tip for you, so like these are like smaller avocados, so you can see they're smaller avocados, and they're like pretty rock solid. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put them in a brown paper sack, and I'm gonna help them like ripen faster. And then once they get soft, you can then therefore eat them. And if you want to preserve avocados for longer, just throw them in the fridge and they'll last you extra 2-3 weeks. So that's a really great fat source, but also a fiber source. So half of a small avocado is about like 5-ish grams of fiber. So like if you add that to a chicken and rice meal, or even like with the potatoes and meat dish, like you have more fiber there as well. So think about that one. It's not always vegetables. Yes, vegetables add volume and nutrients, but the avocados have fiber in them as well. Okay, then I just got some, I was gonna get the shredded lettuce just to have for like fill up volume in bowls, like a ground beef bowl or something, but all they had was garden salad. So we're just rolling with that for this week. I often will get spring mix, but when you're balling on a budget, sometimes this works really well. Also, you actually can get it cheaper if you buy the heads of lettuce, but again, they didn't have those today. So that's okay. But yes, the heads of lettuce are actually cheaper, and if you do the extra few minutes of chopping it up, it will save you some money. Frozen blueberries, of course, always frozen produce right now. It's not quite yet peak season for the berries, so I get frozen, love frozen berries, throwing them in smoothies, on top of yogurts, on top of the cottage cheese, whatever. Like, I love, love, love blueberries. Okay, some other veggies. So I got zucchini I'm gonna roast up. I'm just gonna throw those in with a protein source and a carb source. So I have some sweet potato already cooked up, so I'm probably gonna pair that with some sweet potato, some just roasted zucchini in a pan. I'll probably mix the zucchini and the peppers, so that way I have a little bit of mix and match. I love peppers, and I'll probably use them for like mini egg bakes that I'm gonna do. Apples, of course, so I was running low on apples. Love having an apple a day for the fiber and nutrients, and also it's a very hydrating food. So again, these are not organic, but like do a vinegar wash and a vinegar soak and that should be good. Also got some cuties for some extra vitamin C as we head in more into the spring, you know, spring fever coming around. So get some more vitamin C in. Again, another very hydrating food. This is actually something like these fruits you can use as a carb source at your meal. It doesn't always have to be a grain or a starch like a potato or rice, or it doesn't always have to be that. If sometimes like it's summer and it's getting closer to summer, so if you want something fresh, you can actually have your carbs be the fruit. Fruit should not be feared. It's a natural sugar. It also has vitamins and minerals. I would rather see you fill up your nutrients and your macros with these kinds of foods than a sugar-free alternative or a low-fat alternative all the time to just meet your macros. Like, you want to think about like the quality of nutrients you're feeding your body as well, which can actually benefit your body composition in the long run. Then last but not least, I do have some steamed broccoli. Love getting a couple of bags of these, and I can throw them in with meals to kind of bulk meals up and that kind of thing. I think the main takeaway from this grocery haul is that this is not everything I get on a week, but I did buy a ton of chicken last week, a ton of beef last week. So we are actually still having that, and I actually froze a bunch of chicken in the freezer that's already cooked. So this week it was just, oh, I'm just gonna set out a couple containers of chicken to let that thaw, and I'm gonna use that in meals. So make it as easy as possible on yourself, you guys. Like, this is a very realistic grocery haul, and you can totally do this on a budget. And you can totally, like the frozen produce, some canned goods, adding some fiber that way. And sometimes it's not always gonna be the fanciest thing. Store-bought brands are just gonna have to do if you're balling on a budget. Like, seriously, like that's just what it's gonna be for a while, and that's okay. Don't think you're less than just because you can't buy the super fancy, expensive, organic name brand thing. Or if that you can't buy like raw dairy all the time. Trust me, like, it is okay. Do the best you can with what you got and what you have available to you. So that was my haul. Again, like, I actually made a free PDF guide on how to build a balanced meal given, like, okay, let's say you have ground beef and you took that out of the freezer, but you're like, what the heck do I do with this? I made a handout to show you how you could build some meals in different styles. So like if you want tacos, if you want some Korean style, if you want just basic beef bowls, that way. And then there's also chicken, steak, salmon, and turkey. So they all have different categories, and there is a plant-based page. There is so much more information, some saving tips on groceries, and then some brands and foods that I often purchase at Costco, a whole page of pictures that you can look for kind of for some convenience items, but they're not like always like super crazy process type stuff. It's just looking at what's gonna make your life easy, but also nourishing your body in the meantime. And yeah, there's a lot of tips on there. So I want you to check that out because, and then I also have some cooking methods. So like if you're lost on like, okay, how long do I air fry this? How long do I put this in the oven? I added that stuff in there. There's a wealth of information. It's like a 23-page PDF. I need you to go sign up and get that because this will help you and you can tailor it to your goals. So like if you're in the performance realm, you're probably gonna need a little bit more carbs. If you're in the fat loss realm, you're probably gonna wanna focus more so on getting in a lot more fiber, filling your volume of meals, prioritize protein, and you can still have the carbs on your plate. It's just gonna be a strategic amount. Also with muscle building, same thing. It's like you're probably gonna want more like calorie dense things like the carbs and the fats on there so you can actually give enough energy for your muscles to build. So I talked really fast there and I just wanted to make sure I got on here and I showed you my grocery haul for today, but this is gonna go up pretty much unedited for the most part. So thanks for tuning in and watching. I really appreciate the support, but anyways, stay strong, stay nourished, and I'll see you in the next video.